Today we're looking at segmenting and searching your data in ClaritySoft Live. This is a technique, lots of techniques today for searching your data. One of the things that's great about a database program is that you're able to look up your information in different ways using them custom fields you've added, looking by state, by city, by some special other field. So those techniques are what we're going to focus on today in ClaritySoft Live. The topics that we'll cover here will be the quick search that if you've been using ClaritySoft, you're probably familiar with in the upper left corner. Segment search you may not use, depends on how your database is set up, and I'll explain that when we get there. Global search allows you to search across multiple modules, leads, accounts, and contacts, searching for a specific contact person or company name. Filter allows you to create multi-level types of filters and searches that can help you get really down to the nitty-gritty of your data. Advanced search, which incorporates different types of searches, including the filter. So we'll look at that one, and then using the advanced search allows you, once you've created that search, to save it as a view. And then the view becomes part of a drop-down list so that you save it, you don't have to go back and recreate the filter. And then you just pick the view that you want. So this is a fairly new feature of the last 3-4 months. I want to go over that so everyone understands it. And then once you do all these searches, there are different things that you can do in the database to move from one module to another to view the records that are associated with the filter that you've created, send a list email out, export to Excel, group edit, all kinds of different things. So we'll take a quick look at those as well to give you some ideas. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. I'll bring up my ClaritySoft. And starting with the easy ones here, across the top of your screen, and this is standard in all the modules, we have a quick search box. This is our spyglass button, which has our other types of searches under it. This is our view list, which has some built-in views. Each module has certain standard built-in views that you can select from the list. And then you also can incorporate looking for users. If you are a person who can see all users in the database, then you would be able to pick which user records you would like to see, including your own, to filter out everyone else. If you're an individual user in the database, then you will not have access to all the people. You will see only your own records. And then to clear any searches that you create, you can click the List All button. So we'll go through that and just talk about the different techniques. This should be kind of a fun class to learn. So let's get started. So quick search, when you have however many records you have in your database, you can see a maximum of 100 per page, okay? So that means if you've got a few thousand records in here, you could have 20, 30, 50 pages that you would need to go to. Well, that's not very practical. So what you want to be able to do is very quickly search for a specific account record. And so all you need to do, you don't even have to know the whole thing. If you know part of the name, you can just simply type it. So if I know somewhere in there's global, I can start typing global. I don't have to type the whole thing. And right now my hands are waving in the air. They're not touching the keyboard. So all I did was type GLOB and I stopped. And then ClaritySoft waits a second or two to make sure you've stopped typing, and then it just automatically searches. So you can see here that I've found 3 records: Alliance Global Investors, Global Airways, and Global Chemical Unlimited. Now one thing you want to notice is global, or the characters that I'm looking for do not need to be at the beginning. 2 of them it happens to be. In this one, it's in the middle. So it's simply searching the entire account name and looking for that combination of letters. So if you're not entirely sure how something is spelled, it's better to type less rather than more, because it may not find it. For example, if you're not sure if there's a hyphen between alliance and global, don't type alliance hyphen global, just type part of it, type part of alliance, type part of global, and see what you get. So this is a quick way to search. When you're done searching, you can go to the record and open it and do what you need to do with it. You know, add an activity, go to an opportunity, whatever. So it's a quick way to get to a specific record. Then to clear it, you simply click this little X, and that will clear it out and take you back to the complete list. And then if you wanted to do another search, you could do that. So again, if I just typed, oops, click in here, type it. This time I press the enter key, so you can see it's a little bit faster if you press enter. It doesn't delay that second or so waiting for you to stop typing. So here I get a move on and lay get with get in the middle of it. So very quick, very simple. The other thing you can use this for is you also can search for a telephone number or part of a telephone number. And this is another technique you can use. Instead of clicking this X to clear out and bring back the whole list, you can press the backspace key to take this out, and then I could type part of a phone number. So if I had phone number in here and then I'm going to press enter, I get a phone number with 513 in it, okay? If I want, let's say I wanted the hyphen 977, then I could type it that way. And it pulls it up. So this, if you want to do phone number searches, it's if you have typed your phone numbers consistently in the database, this begs for using a single format of phone numbers in your database so that you can then search on parts of a number. So you might want to search just a specific area code, in which case you could just do the first 3 numbers and pull up anybody in that area code, okay? And then if you are searching for the middle part, the middle exchange, you could type the hyphen first or the dot if you've done that. So by being consistent with your phone number format, that makes it easier to search. So quick search, either part of an account name or part of a phone number to look it up. All right, so let's move on to our Spyglass menu here and some of our different searches. Now, let's say I want to find something by one of my custom fields. Right now, I'm only seeing account, company phone, website, and owner in my columns. And if I search on a field that's for account type or some other custom field and get a list, I'm not real sure that I got the right list unless I can see the data. So what I always recommend is before you do any other types of searches or any type of search, come over here to this button here. I call it the vertical ellipsis button, and I choose column settings, and then I can bring over the fields that I want to search on. So for example, I want to bring over creation date. I'm not going to search on websites. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to bring over last touch date. I also want sector. And you can place these anywhere you want. For example, I may want this down here. Whoops. Hello. There we go. When you get the little blue box, that's when it will go where you want it to go. I may want state. I may want type. So again, you would know your database and what custom fields you have. They're probably not the same as what I have here. And you can pull over any of the fields that you would want to search on. And then down at the bottom here, you have a choice of how many results per page. It defaults to 20. I like to have 100 because then I can see more in a list. So I usually just set it to that. And if you set it in here, then it will remember it and it won't go back to the 20 unless you come back in here. So now I have some other data. And I can see my cities, my states. I can see my sector that I have, which is basically a market sector, and a type. Are they a customer, a dealer, a prospect? So now I have some things that I can search on, and when I search, I'll see the results. So if we go to our Spyglass menu and we click on, well, I'm going to start with filter. And with the filter, you get to select any field, all right? So I could say I'm interested in, where is it? I want the type field. And then you have a comparison here. And the equals sign is the default, and that's going to make it has to match exactly whatever you type, okay? If you're not real sure what your choices are when you type it, then I wouldn't use equals. Instead, I would come down here and do contains. But this is equal, this is not equal to, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to, if you have numbers in here. Contains, not contains. Begins with or ends with. So you have a lot of comparisons here. Like if you were looking for all your empty fields, the ones where somebody hasn't filled in the data yet, then you could say find all the ones where the type is empty, and then you could fix them. So, and again, this is helpful when you have, thousands of records because it's really hard to search them out otherwise. So use these comparisons. Well, I'm going to say contains, and then I'm going to look for prospect. And since it's contains, I wouldn't necessarily have to type the complete word. I could just type part of it. And then I'm going to click apply. So now in my type list or column, I should see only prospect, okay? And once it finds the list, down here at the bottom, it always tells you how many records you found. So out of the 301 records I have in here, 14 of them are prospects, okay? And I can see where I'm missing data. So I would want to fix this. Anything that you're going to be searching on, you want to try and make sure that there is accurate data in the field. So that's a quick way to do a filter. If I wanted to find, let me go back here, and then I can click list all to clear this. Also notice down here in the bottom, it's telling me what my filter is, and I can clear it, I can hide it, I can edit it, okay? So I can clear it there, or I can clear it by clicking list all up here. And that takes me back to my full list, which is 303 records. But let's say I want to do the filter again, and I want to find the type, and I'm going to say contains, let's do customer this time, and I want to add another level. Click this little plus sign, and then I can have another set of criteria for my filter. And you can have an and comparison or an or comparison. So here I'm going to do and then let's say the state. And again, just to be on the safe side, I do contains, and I'm going to put NY for New York. So now I should get all customers who are in New York. And I'm not sure that came up right because I think I saw others. Did I see other customers? maybe not. Okay, maybe not in New York. Is that the one I found? Yep, that's the one I found. Okay, so that filter could give you a lot of comparisons. You can use ands and ors. Like if you wanted to find all your people in New York or Pennsylvania, you could do it that way. So where the state contains New York or the state contains Pennsylvania, then you would get both of them. So you can explore the filter and just, get a feel for that. Then the other search that we have, and this is one that your database may or may not be set up to use. In an account record, when you're originally setting up your database, in the settings, there are two fields, one called Type A1, one called Type A2, which in this database have been set as sector and type. Sometimes we don't use these because they only are available in the account record. They don't go anywhere else in the database. And so sometimes, depending on how you're using your database, especially if you're using the leads module, I, as an implementation specialist, don't necessarily recommend using these fields. So you might not even see them or have them, so don't worry about it. But if you do have them in your database, then you can go to the segment search, and it will give you those two fields with their information, and then you can do a segment search. So I could do a search where maybe in the sector, I only want to find the people that are in manufacturing and not do a type, and click apply. So now my sector should say only manufacturing, and I have 25 of them, okay? If I go back and then do a segment search, I might want to do all the manufacturing that are dealers, and then it has to find both of these, okay? And down here, you're telling it must meet all the criteria. So both of these have to be true in the record. So I should have manufacturing and dealers, okay? They have to have both. Now, if I go back and I click that other checkbox, so I do manufacturing and dealer, and uncheck this one and say it can meet any criteria, then it can be manufacturing or a dealer. So a manufacturing could be the sector, but it could be any one of these other things, and it could be a dealer and could be any sector. So let's see the difference here in what we get. So here's retail sector, a dealer. Here's finance sector, a dealer. So you can see the difference in meeting one of the criteria versus both. And that's kind of like an and and an or situation. The first one is and. They have to both be true. The second one is an or. One or the other needs to be true. So like I said, your database may not be set up for that. If you go to segment search and this is blank, then you'll know you're not using those fields, and you can just happily ignore that search, okay? So, but I want to bring it up for those that are using it. And the same thing exists in the contact record. You have a type C1 and a type C2 that are category type fields. But again, you can cover those with custom fields. And that's what we do most of the time. All right, so moving on. Another search we have is our global search. And again, this is one that you may not see. It is something that is turned on in your settings by your admin person who sets up the database. And it may not be turned on. If it's something you think would be useful, then you can talk to your admin person and have them, that person turn it on for you. But what's nice about this one, especially if you are an individual user in the database where you cannot see all the records, you can only see your own, it's entirely possible that you might have a new lead or a new account or something, and you don't know if it already exists in the database because you can't see everything, So the global search allows you to see those records and find them, and determine if someone else already has entered it. So when you start the global search, it has 3 checkboxes here. Include leads from the leads module, include contacts. So this is telling the search to include all records in all 3 modules when you do the search. So in the search box, you can type either part of a company name or part of a contact person name, whatever you happen to know and whoever you're looking for. So again, if I go back to my, I'll just do my glob again. And again, I don't have to press the enter key, but it speeds it up just a hair. So I've typed this in here, and now I can see over here, it shows me, well, here's a contact with global, okay, Lisa Perry. It'll show you the address, the phone, and who the owner is. And especially for someone who's an individual user, this may be one of your other, sales team members. And so you can see, oh, well, Kelly has already contacted Lisa here, okay? So that tells you, that someone else has already done that contacting, and then you might want to check with Kelly to see what's happening. So this is a way for you to find out if something exists in the database, where it exists, and then who owns it, so that you can talk to that person and see. So you can see you've got contact, you've got account for the global investors, you've got a contact for Global Airways and the account, and then here's a lead, Global Airways. Probably what happened, this was a lead that was converted and made into an account. So you can see here the records that you get and to whom they belong. Then if you want to see the details on it, you can click on the record. Now this would bring up Lisa's contact record. This one would bring up the global investors account record. So if you wanted to look at that, it'll show you what sector they're in, what type, okay, and the last touch date. So see, the last touch date is 2 years ago, so maybe no one's working with this and you can jump on it. If you want to go to that record, then you simply click on the Go button and it will actually take you to the account record and open it up. So it's really a nice search function to be able to search across multiple modules and then be able to go directly to that record, whether you click on the account one or the contact one. So that makes it very, very nice. And when you go back, it just returns you here. So with the global search, you can start it in leads, you can start it in contacts, and wherever you start it, then you click in the check boxes for the other modules. So if I went to leads and I looked up global search, leads is already checked, and I would then say include accounts and contacts, and then if I look up global again, I'm going to get the same results, but it shows me again where they are. So use that to help you do searches, like I said, especially if you are an individual user in the database, because it lets you find things before you type a new record in and find out that it's a duplicate, because you can't see it until you use the global search. By the way, I forgot to mention that there is a Q&A panel that if you have questions while I'm talking, you feel free to type any questions in the Q&A panel, and I will be happy to answer them as we work. All right. Now, the next one is the advanced search. And the advanced search actually is pretty much a combination of multiple types of searches. We have a form filter, where you can type information into basically what looks like an account record form. We have the standard filter, which we already looked at. We have a time-based filter, which if you've taken some of the reporting classes or webinars, you're familiar with this because this allows you to search over time ranges on date fields. And then this one, if you use the products and services in ClaritySoft in your opportunities, quotes, or sales, then you are able to search for specific products by a customer or by accounts to pull up specific products to see who purchased them, because maybe there's an update and you want to send them an email. And so this is a nice one as well. Now, some of you aren't using products and services or putting your product list in, but those of you who are can take advantage of this filter. I do have a question from Richard. If the access rights preclude normally seeing a record, will global search allow me to see it? Yes, it will. That's one of the reasons it's helpful, is because if you are an individual in the database and can see only the records where you are the owner, the global search will allow you to see other people's records so you know to whom they belong. And then you can take it from there. Okay? All right. So with the form filter, let's say, I just want to find everybody in Ohio. So I can go to the state field, I type OH. I could also choose a sector. I can choose more than one field here, so everything would have to be true. We'll just do Ohio to start with. So I can put more than one in, and then I click search, and when I go back, my state should be Ohio. Okay, now notice it did find OHIO, even though I only typed OH. So it works on a contains basis. Again, this is another thing you probably want to decide in your database. To be consistent, always enter the 2-letter abbreviation or always enter the full spelling of the name. I would recommend the 2-letter abbreviation just because it's easier to type. And there's less chance for spelling errors with the 2-letter abbreviation, but you can see that it did find both Ohio's, OH and OHIO. So once I get my list here, I have 41 in Ohio. Notice the top of the screen has changed a little bit from when we did the other searches. When you use the advanced search view, you now have the capability to save the view so that you can return to it later and not have to recreate the search. And this one's pretty simple, but still, I might want to pull up people in Ohio a lot. So what I can do now is I can click on this button that's Save View, and I can give it a name. And click Save. Now notice that it's put Ohio list in the drop-down here. And then I could go back to All Accounts, which will take me back to my complete list, or I could click List All. Then I want to see my Ohio list. Boom. Done. I don't have to go through the steps to go to the advanced search, to go to the form, to click search. It's one step. If I wanted to modify this, and create one for all the manufacturers in Ohio, then I could add, I could create another view that would be all the manufacturers, or I could find everybody in a particular city. Whatever I wanted to do, whatever made sense for me to save to be able to come back quickly and find it, I can create the advanced search and then save it as a view. And you can have as many views as you like. So that's really a nice feature to have, because there are a lot of times when you're trying, you work with certain lists. If you do email list types of things at the contact level, You can have your lists created and save them as a list so that the next time you want to email the same group of people, then you just pick the list and you don't have to go back and redo the filter. All right, Maria is asking me, can you edit or remove the views? Boy, she knows where I'm headed here. This is great. Yes, you can. You click on the spyglass button and go to views. This will give you a list of views. Now, these are ones we've built in, so you probably don't want to remove these. But what you can do with a view, you can rename it. You can edit it. So I could edit it and add. So if I decided to include manufacturing and then click Save, now it's going to be edited to be only manufacturers in Ohio, and then I could rename it to say Ohio and save it. I can clone it, meaning I could make a copy of it, and then I could edit, all right. I can delete it if I don't want it anymore, and then the other one that's very nice is I could share it. So if I'm pretty good at creating all these different filters or views, then I can create them for my other team members, and then I can share them with other users. And I could share them with all of them, or I could share with some of them, whatever, you know, the people that you know would use that, I can share it. And then when they, I think they have to log out and log back in, and then they would be able to see this view in their drop-down list. So yes, and you can edit them, you can clone them, you can rename them, everything that you want to do. The other thing you can do too is maybe you're in the database and you can see all the records, but you'd prefer to see just the records that belong to you. You could create a view where you're the owner of the records, save it, and then you could make it your default view so that when you log into ClaritySoft and you go to the accounts module, you will see only your own records and not all of them. But then when, excuse me, when you want to see all the records, you would just go choose that all accounts and change the view. So you may do this as well. So there's a lot of capabilities here that you can use it for. And notice the name is changed here. Also notice now that my list, because I changed the view or the filter, only includes manufacturing in Ohio. I lost all those other people that weren't manufacturing. So this will update itself. Usually this is another question that comes up, is what happens if I add a new account in Ohio that's a manufacturer? Will it come into the list? Absolutely. Because this is a filter. This is not a saved fixed list. This is a filter that's saying pull anybody that matches the criteria that you've set. So very nice to be able to do. You can create as many views as you like, and views are available in all the different modules. So explore that. The only way you can save them though is by using advanced search. Okay, that's the only one that gives you that capability of saving it, okay, the filter by itself. But you have the standard filter here, so you can create your standard filter in here, and then you'll be able to save it, okay? So let me jump to the time filter. This one allows you to search on a date field, and within Clarity, within the account record at least, I have the creation date, when the record was created, or the last touch date, okay? And the last touch date is a field that will update itself each time you complete an activity in the account, for the account. It will change this last touch date to the current date that you've completed that activity. So if I made a phone call to whatever account today, then the last touch date will be set to today's date. So I'm going to do, let's do creation date, which I know a lot of these are old. And then you get to pick down here. I can do year to date, where it be say, okay, show me all the accounts that have been created since the beginning of this year. That would be that one. This one could be show me all the accounts that have been created this today, this week, this month, this quarter, this year. And you can say 1 week, 2 weeks, 2 days, 5 days. So this is a way for you to say, well, how many new accounts have we added in the last week or the last month? You can do that. I know my data is old enough, I have to go backwards. So I'm going to go to last year. And so now it's telling me, show me all the account records that have been created, that were created last year. So that would be 2017. So we're going to click search. And because I already brought up that creation date field, this is why you want to do that. I can see that, yes, there's a whole bunch of them that were created last year. In fact, 62 were created last year in 2017. So I can see all 62 of them on my screen. So that's a way to search using a time filter. Okay. Your last touch date could be used for that. And again, it always brings up this, so you could save this if you wanted. I can say, and the reason I'm not putting 2017 here is that when 2018 goes to 2019 in January, 2018 becomes last year. So then it's going to show me all the accounts that were created in 2018. So it's not going to stay fixed. It moves forward with you, which is the advantage of these filters, because they will continue to move forward as the dates move forward. You don't have to come in and change it. So I can save that, and then as soon as January 1st, 2019 hits, 2018 becomes last year, and I will see all the accounts that were created in 2018. Okay? So we have that. And then under here, we do have one last touch date greater than 30 days, which is probably most of my records. So if I click on this, I get 143, so almost half of my records have not been touched longer than 30 days ago. And notice longer than 30 days ago goes back forever. So it goes back to 2014, 2012, it goes back forever. So I have a lot of work to do. But that's already built in for you. But again, it's a quick way to see, well, who haven't we touched greater than 30 days ago? So more than a month ago backwards is already there. And then here's new accounts the last 2 years. Okay, so this would show you 2017 and 2016. So you can see that there. All right. So there are some things here already built in. Created this month, I have 0. So, oh, I have 1. I've been busy. So, you know, use the views, use the time filters for searching. And you can go to your advanced search. Now, the other thing you can do too here is you can choose, you could choose sector here on this, and then you could go to the standard filter and you could choose something else in the standard filter. So across the different tabs here, you can create kind of a multi-level filter. So you could choose something from the form filter, and you could choose something from the standard filter and something from the time filter, depending on what you're trying to build. So, and that's when you want to save it, because you don't want to have to recreate that every time you try to run the filter. Okay? All right. Now the product filter, let me go back here. I'll take this out for now. And again, like I said, if you're not using products and services, not putting a price list into ClaritySoft, then this won't be applicable. But I can choose whether I want product items or group items. And I'm looking at product items here. If I do group items, these are the different groups. So I could find all widgets if I did groups. And then if I wanted to do specific products, then I can choose. Now I know there's some widgets in here, so I'm going to choose widgets, these two. And it can say match any criteria. All right, that'll give me more flexibility. And then I can put it, I can choose sales, quotes, or opportunities, or all of them. So let's say I wanted to find all the sale records where the standard and the premium widgets have been sold. Okay, so I'm going to click search. Okay, we got 82 records. So these 82 accounts purchased either standard widgets or premium widgets. Okay, I didn't put a time frame on it. Now that might be where I'd want to put a time filter on as well to say within the last year. Okay, because these could be 4 or 5 years old because the creation dates are pretty old. So I don't know when the purchase was made. So I could put a time frame on it and then it would pull it up that way. So this is a way for you to do that type of search, which is, I get this question quite a bit, you know, can I find my accounts by the products that we've sold them? And yes, you can. So that's another one to explore. So my suggestion is get in here and just, you know, go to the spyglass, and I would say use advanced search or global search. These two have everything that you need. You may not be using the segment search, and the filter is already in advanced search. So, and then save your views. You can always delete them. And just practice, because this is what really allows you to do a lot of things in the database, okay? Then moving on, well, what can we do with this? You know, I get this list, so now what do I do with it? Well, let's say you would like to email all your manufacturers in Ohio, which we've already got that list. So I'm going to go here, Ohio manufacturers list. There it is. And I want to email them. Well, at the account level, we don't have email addresses. So what I have to do is get to the contacts. Well, how do I do that? You come over here, you select all your records, you go to the List Actions menu, and you say View Contacts. Notice I can view contacts or I can view activities for these selected accounts. Well, I want to view contacts. So now it's going to ask me, do you want all records marked as checked or all filtered records? If the number of records you have displayed is less than the number of results per page, then you do all records marked as checked. If it's greater, then you do all filtered records. Everybody's going to say, I'm not going to remember that. So what happens now, I'm now in the contacts module, and I'm viewing the contact people for those selected accounts. And if I want all of these, then I do select them all, go to List Actions, and this time I'm going to select Email Contacts. And then again, all the ones marked as checked. Now I get a list of all my selected people. The only ones that are going to show up here are ones with email addresses. If they're missing an email address, obviously it won't bring it in. So you have to check that. Then you can type an email. Or if you have a template already saved, then you can open a template. I have no idea what I have here. Okay, I could say left voicemail, but again, you might want to send them a new email about a new product or something like that, or that you'll be traveling around the state of Ohio and you'd like to stop in to visit them. You know, whatever you want to type the email for, and then you can type it. Now, when you're doing this, and this is stepping into another realm here, you can say hello, and then you can insert first name field. And what ClaritySoft does then is it's going to pull each person's first name into the email, because these are going to be sent out individually and individually addressed. So you put your subject line, you type your email, and when you're done, you click send, and all those will be sent out to those people. So that's one of the things you can do with a filtered list, is you could email people. Another thing you could do with a filtered list is you could export it out to Excel. If you just wanted to get a quick list out, then again, I can select export to Excel, all records marked as checked. Then I get to choose what fields do I want to go out to Excel. Well, it depends, you know, what am I doing? Maybe I want, you know, maybe I don't need country, I don't need website, I don't need this, but I would like the account name, the phone, maybe the lead source, maybe not. Product interest is a custom field. Here's my sector and type. I don't necessarily need the sector because these are all manufacturers, so I could get rid of that one. The owner is me, so I don't need that, but I want the address, the city, state, and then any other, oh, maybe the last touch date I might like. I click apply, and whatever you set up, it will remember. Well, it goes to Excel. I think in the webinar, for some crazy reason, it decides not to open in here, but normally it goes into Excel and opens up and gives you the list in Excel. So it's disappearing someplace. I had this happen to me before. I'm not sure why. Okay, you'll just have to believe me that it goes to Excel, all right? So that's another thing. You could export the list to Excel. So you could email them, you could export them. When you click list all and you have a view selected, it goes to the view. So you have to go back here and change it. If I did a search, say, for all of the sectors that were blank or the types that were blank, let's do that. And that one you would need to do your standard filter. And you choose type is empty. And then search. I should get all the records where I have no type, which means I then need to fix them. So what I would be able to do if I knew this list, I could go along the left here and say this one, and I'm just randomly going to pick these, this one, this one. These are all the same type. So then I can select them and then go to list actions and do a group edit for all the selected records. I would choose my type field, and then I could say, well, these are all, oh, I was doing, did I search on sector? It doesn't matter. Let's say these are all prospects. I just know they happen to be prospects since I did type. So when I click apply, all those selected records are updated. That's the beauty of a group edit. Okay, now, where did they go? They went away, and the reason they went away is my filter is turned on to show only blank types. So don't panic that you lost your records. You didn't lose them, okay? So technically, as you update things here, they should all disappear. So if you did customers next, they should disappear until this list is empty because you filled them all in. So when I cancel this view, then my records will show up, okay? So think about that if that happens to you, which it probably will. So as soon as you fill them in, then it updates them all and then they disappear from that view, okay? All right, so group edit's another thing that you can do. You can, again, if I'm just going to randomly, well, I'll do my Ohio list of manufacturers again because it gets me down. I could take this same list and view activities. This would take me to the activities module and show me all the activities I've ever done with all these people. Okay, so those are things you can do, and then even from other modules, you have different list actions there where you can email from here, you can export, group edit, you can view accounts or view contacts from here. So those are little shortcuts in the database that you can use after you've done some sort of filter. And then you can move, select the ones you want and then go view the associated contacts, associated accounts, or vice versa. So that's in there. And then again, for each of your modules, you do have your filters at the top. And you can do searches. Now in the activities, your default filter here is going to be today's activities. So that's going to show you what you've got scheduled for today by default when you come here and have your name. But again, you can change it to all activities. And if you were looking for a specific company, you can type in the quick search the part of the name of the company, and then it will pull it up. So for example, I know there's quite a few of Abbott Laboratories. So I have 89 activities for Abbott Laboratories. I can look up by company here, by contact person, or by words in the subject line. So if I type the word quote, it's going to find every quote, the word quote in the subject line. So this gives you a lot of capability in here to search for specific activities. Obviously, you can go to any of the account records or contact records and see your activities there, but this it lets you see everything. Okay, so Richard's telling me the Excel export does work. Yes, I know it does. It's for some reason when I'm doing these webinars, it doesn't work. I had this happen to me before, but I'm glad you're telling me that it does work. Okay. Yes, you're asking if you exported a list of Excel, list from your database into Excel, and then you fixed things in the spreadsheet, can you re-import it to update? Yes, you can. In the importer, when you do that, you would choose the option to create new records and update. And then you can map the fields that need to be updated. You'd have to map your account name so it knows where to go, and then you would map your custom field or what fields you need to map that need updated. I would test it with a few first to make sure you're doing it right, and then once you're sure you did it correctly, then you could do the whole thing. But yes, you may do that. So that's a good thought. So questions here from Nancy. Will it list all contacts or just the primary one? When you do the view contacts from accounts, it will list all contacts. Okay. Now, once you get there, you should be able to search for the primary ones by doing a secondary filter at the contact level, and then you can get just the primary ones. And then how do I edit a saved advanced search? This is from Aida. You go back, anywhere, you go to the spyglass, you go to views, you pick the view and you click on edit. And then it will open up the window and you can change your settings and then save it. So you can do anything you want there. Okay. Yeah, Nancy, going back to yours, it will show you all contacts. So you would get them. Now, once you get into contacts, if you don't have a huge list and you see that Abbott Labs there has 2 contacts, you could just click in the checkbox for the one that you want to send to and not click in the one you don't want to send to. Now, obviously, if you're getting a big list of 500 or more, that's not feasible. But you would be able to search by the primary contact and find the primary contacts here. I don't know if any of mine are marked that way. I'd have to test that out. But you can then search here for primary contacts, because in your advanced search right there, I get 1. Okay. So now, was he in the original list? That's my question. But you could save, once you did a filter at the account level and then you viewed the contacts, you could create a view here and save it as well. And I think, yeah, no, you'd have to search it here. Never mind. Not a good thought. But yeah, be creative, figure it out. There's a lot of cool things, you know, and if you have some ideas on how we can improve these, let us know, because we're always sending those ideas to our development team and saying, hey, can we do this? Oh gosh, once again, I've used an entire hour. So I'm going to go back here and say, you know, if you have any final questions, shoot them to me right now, and we'll go ahead and wrap up for the day. Once again, I really appreciate you asking questions, because it shows that you're paying attention and you're thinking while we're doing all of this, and I'm kind of whipping through everything. But hopefully you've gotten some good ideas on how to do searches in your database. I think also some ideas maybe on custom fields that you might want to add to your database to help you do specific searches, so that you can get the kinds of lists that you want to see. And these same type of things, these filters, feed into the reports too, because the reports module has the filters that you can set up there. You have a time filter, you have a standard filter. So it works in the reports to be able to pull the data into specific reports as well. So practice doing these and get a feel for them. And like I said, as long as you pull the columns in that you're searching on, then you can see your results. If you don't pull the columns into view, then you're kind of, you know, searching in the blind and don't know whether you got correct results or not. So, you know, put the columns there and then do the different searches, save them, edit them, just practice with them, and, you know, share with your other team members, you know, say, here's what I've found I can do really quickly. So once again, if you need any help, you're welcome to call our support line at any time at the number here, 888-838-7487, extension 2, or email them at support@claritysoft.com. And then email any comments, additional questions, ideas for future webinars to info@claritysoft.com. And I will let all of you go. Have a great rest of the afternoon, and hopefully we'll see you next week.